Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are those who say, well, the transition was too quick. It takes longer than that, and they say, for a human being to cross the bridge. For my partner simply sits down and begins. And they say, it's too quick. There should be more preparation. There should be something more profound when you go from 3D to multiple D. And it is the subject of the channeling of the evening. For some years now, I have given my partner glimpses of the quantum state that he must teach. For this shift that you are in demands that you start thinking differently, asking different questions about your path, your life, seeing your part on the earth differently, looking at the very instructions you get from Spirit differently, looking at why you exist differently. You might say it is a complete and total deconstruction of those bars that are around certain thinking processes in your brain. And psychologists will tell you it is the most difficult thing to do to change a paradigm of thought. In fact, they will say it's impossible for a nation that hates to suddenly stop hating. We're going to break that paradigm too. You're going to see consciousness shift against all odds. But it must start with light workers learning their biases. Things that they never had to think about before in this fashion. My partner sits in the chair and immediately channels. It's because the bridge doesn't have to be crossed anymore. He has one foot in my side of the veil, which is really not my side at all. It's his side for the peace of God that is in him. He straddles a line that is not that difficult to straddle. He walks a walk that isn't that difficult to walk, because he's learned what it's like to be partially quantum. Not so that he sticks out in the real world as abnormal, but that he sticks out in the real world as something special, with a love quotient that's different from others, one who is quick to forgive, does not judge, and sees the world and those around him differently than he did when he started. This is what we speak of. And so it is that I say to him now that what follows in its briefness or its length is a model for what I wish him to begin his lecturing on next year. And that he has been slowly growing into this, and now it's time to begin to identify it and teach it. And it must be done in ways that are incremental and with steps. It may seem odd that becoming quantum has to be taught with steps because it is an oxymoron. That is to say, that becoming quantum is something that has no steps. And so we say to you, it is logical, is it not? And to move to 3 dimensions, to more than 3, you must start at 3. You must show the human being what their biases are, things that they never thought they were. And we use the term bias on purpose. That may be a negative word to you. I hope it is. For this is an explanation of how you think. It's an old energy you're in thought process. And you're not going to get much farther in the shift in this new energy without an adjustment, a willing adjustment to become just a little more quantum. Quantum is a word we will use that describes a kind of state of reality that your physicists have also described, one which you are literally one with all, where there is no time, where everything is at once in a circle and difficult to understand. If you were on my side of the veil, the side you came from, that is the state we're in. It is why we have no problem with patience, dear ones. Who do you know who is a friend of yours who has no trouble with patience at all? They are partially quantum. And you can be. And some of you are, and that is to say that there are pieces and parts of the way you think that are all ready to go, and some which are not. And so for me to explain this, I start with the bias. Everything I'm going to give you this day has been given at some time before, pieces and parts over 2 years. It is the first time we have put it together succinctly in this way as a lesson plan for my partner. The bias of 3D thinking is upon you. Human beings are singular to the max. Everything you have is singular. And you don't even think that is odd. You have one body. In your mind, in 3 dimensions, that one body is that which you get up in the morning and look at. That body is the one that you create as a temple of biology. And you deal with it until the end. And that is 3D thinking, and it's completely and totally wrong. But that's all you can see. The corporal structure is all that you have. It's all that you feel when you're born. It isn't until you begin to expand that you start to see the rest of the story, and we'll give that to you in a moment. You are singular. One name, not many. As you move through life, you have one time frame that is singular. There is one direction of time. There is only one kind of time, and that is what we've said, forward. You cannot move backwards, and the speed at which you move is set, and you cannot change it. It is singular. It supports all the other singular parts that you have. It's a bias. It's a bias because it defines you in a reality you believe is the only reality. That's a bias. There are many realities. 3-dimension is one. But this is the dimensionality that you have been existing in since the beginning. So it is etched into your brain and into your akash, into humanity, into all that is. And now we're asking you to get out of it. You think there is one way to God. So does the rest of the earth. Just ask them. Many ways and only one works. As though God were the same. As though there were one ladder to climb and only one ladder to climb. You hope you're on it. Dear human being, that's not from God. That's from a singular mind that is biased. We have said it before. What if, just what if, all ways lead the same place, to the end, to the finish line, to celebration? What if there is no judgment of what you believe?